find yourself working hard and making progress at job fairs. And today we have a few experts with us that we will be introducing momentarily. I'm going to give you one last chance to answer the poll questions, and then we're going to move them off the board. All right, counting down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, here they go. All right. So today we have with us some human resource professionals. Lori Husband is the president of Valuable Resources Company. She is a consultant for human resource professional, or for human resources for companies who cannot quite afford a full-time human resources person. We appreciate her time today, and she has added valuable insight to the answers for the questions that we're going to be discussing. Nancy Clausen, I hope she's on the call or will be shortly, is the Human Resources Director for SplashNet Express. They are a wholesale company. They have designers, they have warehouse people, they have a full-fledged array of different personalities for which she has to hire. So welcome, Nancy, and welcome, Lori. Yesterday on our webinar we had Sylvia Wetzel, but today we have Mohammed Fahim. Mohammed is a business services provider at the Illinois WorkNet Center in Arlington Heights. Mohammed has a long and varied career, and he actually retired at the age of 47 and is now working with the business services at Illinois WorkNet. So thank you, Mohammed, for joining us. And if Lori and Mohammed would like to unmute their phones, then we can carry on with our conversation today.
Hi, Dee, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Mohammed, are you there?
Yes, Dee, good morning. Good afternoon, this is Mohammed.
Good afternoon. Today our guides are me, Dee Reinhardt. I am the president of my own social media marketing company named Time to Market. I am a strategist, and I help solopreneurs and small businesses optimize their digital presence on platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. Manning the chat pod and our Twitter feed is none other than our very own Illinois WorkNet, Natasha Telger. Give her up a big hand of applause. If you want to applaud for her, you can click the little guy at the top of your screen and give some applause up for Lori, for Natasha. And helping me on the back end of things is Chelsea Jones, and we couldn't do this without all of that great help that we have back at Illinois WorkNet. So today, what I'd like to do is just give you a little bit of a background of how this discussion came about. We wanted to know and to help job seekers understand what they needed to expect at a job fair. There's basically two types of job fairs. There's an employee-hosted one where you might go to a company that is actually holding a job fair. Those are a little bit different than a job fair where you might have gone to a big venue and had many, many, many employers there to go from booth to booth and talk to them, give them your resume. There's also virtual versus live, which is what we just discussed. And sometimes a virtual job fair will last for 3 weeks at a time. And in those situations, you submit your resume just as if you were doing a in-person job fair, but you are doing it online. So it's more traditional job search approach that you would do on a regular networking event. Job fairs are what those of us in the business industry consider networking. It gives you more of an opportunity to meet and greet potential employers rather than the full-fledged one-on-one interview situation. If you need to find out more about how you can do any of these sorts of things, build your resume, do a better job search, find different things that you need to participate in, Illinois WorkNet has valuable resources. And if you're looking for job fairs in your area, if you create an individual account on Illinois WorkNet, you will receive updates and events that are happening within your work area, so your geographic area. There are emails that come out and they will post events, job fairs, workshops that are happening that will show up on your individual account. So we invite everybody, if you don't already have an individual account on Illinois WorkNet, we invite you to sign up there. Also, I'd like to promote the fact that Illinois WorkNet has a virtual job club on LinkedIn. So if you haven't already joined us in that venue, we invite you to do that as well. Let's move on to our presentation today. We have several questions to discuss, and I want to get some input today. So our first question is not showing up on the screen. Chelsea, I need help.
See, what's wrong?
Look at the screen. The question isn't there on my screen.
My screen says, when you as an employer go to a job fair, what are some of your goals?
All right, I'm not seeing it on my screen, so I'm just going to work from my papers today. So
I can see it on my screen also, so it's up on our screen.
Okay, great. Okay. What I would like to do is Lori, if you could address first for me what some of your goals are, and I want you to explain that term that's down there near the bottom that says herding versus hiring.
Well, for me, my goal for a job fair would be that I have, well, first of all, I need to explain that I'm not a staffing firm and I don't work for just one company. So I have several clients that I work as their HR person, and there are times when I have to be involved in the recruiting process. And so the goal when we go to a job fair is to hire a candidate or a potential candidate because we have a need in an open position. But am I echoing?
Turn off your speakers, Lori, on your computer.
They're not home. Is that better?
Raise your hand if you can hear Lori better.
Okay. Well, there's a difference between recruiting and hiring. And recruiting is more of the actual, your networking, versus when you're hiring, you actually have a position to fill. So that's what I mean by the herding versus hiring.
All right. Okay. Chelsea, I refreshed my screen, so you need to promote me again. I'm sorry about that. Mohammed, what are your goals? Well, and Lori too, what are your goals when you're going to a job fair? Tell us what you look for, Mohammed.
Well, speaking from an employer's point of view, we're looking at two things. We may not necessarily have any open positions at the moment, but we want to be out there so that we are visible to other people, other job seekers. If our competition is going to be there, I would want to be there just to have the branding that I am in the business also. So that is one aspect of it, and job seekers should be aware of those kind of employers when they're going in as job seekers. Now, the other thing is, I'm going to be at a job fair because I really need to hire somebody, and that is going to be a very cost-effective return on investment from my time, because most of the job fairs that are organized by organizations like ours, Business and Career Services, IDES, and others, there is no cost for the table for the employer. So the employer is looking upon it as an opportunity to get face time with some potential employees, and they're there to actually hire people, not just to show up and be seen.
Good, good, good. All right. Let's move on to the next question, and that is, what should a job seeker do prior to going to the job fair so that they're properly prepared to meet you, a new potential employer?
Here's what I would suggest, Dee. Number one, look at the size of the job fair. It's going to be 50, 60, 100 companies out there. Go and visit the organizer's website first and make a list of the companies that you would want to work with or work at. So you have a specific target of 5 or 6 companies that you are going to be hitting when you go for the job fair, instead of going from table to table to table to try to find out what the opportunities are. So you need to be very focused. You have a very small window of time when you go to the job fair, and you have to dress to impress also. Don't go in a casual dress, with shorts because it's summer. No, you have to dress to impress when you go to a job fair. And then research the companies that you are interested in and the job opportunities that they may have posted on their website. Look on some other websites, look in the social media to see what those companies are doing. You need to be as prepared as possible with a specific list of 5 or 6 companies, not more than that. You don't have the time for more.
That's good. Lori, what do you think they should do?
Well, there's a lot of what I would have said too. I think that they should be prepared. They should have a resume prepared. They definitely need to find out more about the companies that they want to potentially talk to. I would say, find out what the mission statements are of the companies, prepare a few questions about the companies that you want to go and talk to. And obviously, definitely dress professional. Hygiene and cleanliness, professionalism is a big thing.
Right. You don't have to be dressed up in a Marx Brothers suit, but you do need to have clean clothes and be professional in your demeanor, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I would also add for the women out there, leave the leggings at home. Been to several job fairs, and women are wearing leggings and flip-flops, and it's not appropriate. So save that for after the job fair.
All right. Next, when somebody submits a resume online or by mail, the resume is that job seeker's ability to make a great first impression. What do you guys look for when the person is right there face to face with you at a job fair?
Speaking on what I have seen and heard from the employers that we work with, and us also, we're looking to see if the person has the right personality. I mean, you walk in the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you shake your hand. All of that gives an impression whether this person is somebody that I would want to bring into my organization, meet at the water cooler on a daily basis. So you're looking to see if there's a personality match at that point, not so much face-to-face. You don't know, you have not analyzed their skills and their experience at that point. It's more of a gut feeling. And, you heard about looking in the eye and all that thing. Yep, I mean, how prepared are they and how confident are they? If they can show some confidence in the first meeting, then it leads to other meetings.
Lori, would you like to add anything to that?
Yes. again, I'm going to go back to the professionalism. I'm definitely looking at if you're serious about where you are. I'm looking at how you answer. Is it yeah versus yes? So I'm looking for your mannerisms. I'm looking for eye contact. I'm looking for a good handshake. And I'm definitely looking for a smile.
Smile makes everything better, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yep. That's
yes.
absolutely.
I think the smile is also showing confidence and that you're also taking this seriously because it is something that's serious. I think a smile just, also, I think a smile also like calms the tension.
True, very true.
Because when you walk in, I mean, it's intimidating to walk in with all these people and all these employers and all your competition. So I think a smile just kind of eases your own anxiety within.
Yes, very, very much so. Business owners consider soft skills to be some of the most important items that job seekers can possess. Since job skills can be taught, what do you do to assess somebody's soft skills at a job fair? Mohammed, would you like to start with this one?
It depends on what you define as a soft skill, because that definition really has not been finalized in any industry that I have seen so far. So it changes from industry to industry and from company to company, and depending on the company culture. The biggest soft skills that employers are looking for are communication skills now, because we are living in a connected world now. So you need to show me that you have what it takes. You are aware of the technologies out there today. You know how to communicate, not just in writing and verbal and written communications, but what are your skills about electronic communications also? That's coming in huge now. What do you know about the current social media scene, for example? That is not so much a hard skill, but it's a soft skill. So communication is going to be at the top of the scale as far as soft skills are concerned. And people really need
I
to
agree.
practice that. Yeah, they need to practice that before they show up for an interview or a job fair. And we use a term that I coined a couple of years back, like you have skills practice for your hard skills. You need to do some skull practice in your head for your soft skills. And the more you practice how you're going to sound, how you're going to talk, that comes out after a while. It becomes natural, so it doesn't look like you're putting on a show for an employer. So a lot of practice about how you're going to behave in a social situation or in a job situation will come in handy. So communication is at the top of the list.
Very good, very good. Big question. And if you notice from the screen, we had a lot of controversy on the answers here. So should participants be prepared to fill out an application? Let's hear from both of you.
I would say yes. Some employers definitely want people to fill out an application. I've seen job fairs where some tables are set aside for people to fill up an application and bring it back right there on the spot. Now, having said that, there is a trend that is coming on now that everybody wants you to go online and fill up an application. There are some legalities involved in accepting an application in a job fair, because you are giving the impression that you are going to be calling them for an interview when you accept something in writing from a job seeker. So more and more companies are preferring to go the online route rather than taking a paper application. But some companies, especially I've seen with some of the multi-level marketing kind of companies or commission jobs that are desperate to hire people right on the spot, they would be taking applications. But major employers are not going to be taking applications. So you should be prepared either way.
Lori?
I would disagree. A job fair is to basically network, and the way that I would explain it is that when you, as an entrepreneur, which is what I am, when I go to a networking event, and I'd like to put it in this type of, if you can kind of envision it this way. If you go to a networking event or a job fair, so you think about it as your resume is your business card, and you're kind of, it's a very quick introduction. You have 30 seconds maybe to make a really good impression. It's very key to kind of pinpoint the things that are very important about who you are and what you do. And then you move on. And then when you go back to your office, you go back through the cards or the resumes, and you see who's qualified for the position. And that's when you get on the phone and you follow up with, calling them to make an introduction and getting an interview. There's too many legalities with handing out an application just at a job fair. So not only is it just that you have a position to fill, but you're also signing off on an application that it's okay for an employer to do a background check, or if you're signing off that they can call your references, but yet you haven't even been on an interview.
Right.
So
I mean, I agree with you on that point, but I have seen like at some of these MLM companies, commission job companies, they are so desperate to get people on that they are having people fill in those applications, and that's why some jobs.
Well, I think you said a key point. Being desperate is definitely something that if you're an applicant and a company is desperate, that would give me a red flag.
Absolutely. The job seeker should be aware of that those are things that maybe you don't want to get into something like that right away, and you politely decline and get away from those companies. That's where the importance of getting prepared before you come, finding out which companies are coming, getting some background on them, and then targeting those companies that you feel are going to be a good fit for you from your background, from your skills, from your experience, the culture that you come from. Those are going to be very important for anybody attending a job fair. I mean, if you look at it, some of the research that I subscribe to, from an employer's point of view, the return on investment for the hiring dollar from the job fair is only 4% at this point. So from a job seeker's point of view now, is it worth their time to go to a job fair when there's maybe a 4 to 6% chance of getting a job at a job fair? You have to balance out your priorities, because when you don't have a job, the capital that you have is your time. And as a job seeker, you have to really, really be careful about how you spend your time during the day that you have given, the 8 hours that you have to work that day. So be careful, go prepared, and don't fall for the stick of companies who are going to be showing a big video up there and saying, hey, these are the great opportunities. Fill up a form right over here. We'll get back to you, in a couple of days for another mass interview or something.
We had a question from the audience from Pam Harris that said, so are you saying that job fairs are only networking events?
No. They don't.
I would say it's a little bit between, wouldn't you?
Right. I would say it is definitely more it is more of a networking event, but you're there for a main purpose, and your purpose is to network with the right people, because you don't know who you're going to meet or who knows who. So, I mean, it kind of is more of a networking event than actually that is the purpose.
All right. Okay, we're going to move on to the next question. What questions should a job seeker be prepared to discuss on the spot with that person behind the desk for that business?
Well, we're looking at some of the answers that we have sent out to you already. Definitely, a company is going to ask, what do you know about us? What do you know about our product, our service? When can you come in for an interview if you are interested in it? I mean, what position are you looking for? You have your resume with you. What are you currently doing? Why should we hire you? I mean, what makes you the candidate of choice for us? So you need to be prepared to answer those questions, which would be typically asked in any kind of formal interview also. but it's good to have those answers ready when you walk into a job fair.
Lori?
Yeah, I would agree with those. You might also be asked the question, especially if it's at a school campus or a college campus, if you're expected to graduate, if you're looking for part-time or full-time, or even if you're looking for an internship. There are some jobs or companies that are there that are actually looking to help out college kids, or students, I should say, that are looking to do an internship because they need credit. So those are some other questions.
Okay. Should they be prepared to be hired on the spot?
No.
I would say not necessarily. I mean, any good company would not make an offer at a job fair because they have to do their due diligence. They have to do their background checks and all of that and bring people in for a more formal interview before they can make a hiring decision. So if somebody's offering you a job on the spot, watch out.
Should job seekers, if they've done their research and they want to work for a specific company that's at that job fair, or two of them, depending on if it's a career path, say it's a manufacturing job fair, and they've decided that they want to work for two or three of those specific companies that are there, should they bring a cover letter directed specifically to that company to accompany their resume?
I don't think it would hurt. I don't think it would hurt. It would show that you are passionate about joining that company. You have done your research, and you're really interested. You're not just there, as a common job seeker trying to seek an opportunity. It shows that you are interested in the company. I would definitely welcome that.
Lori?
I would disagree, only because you have to understand, too, that out of the, at the job fair and online, we've probably got, over 200 resumes. And really, if it were me, I'm really looking for those bulleted points to see if you're qualified. So reading a cover letter, if you have those qualifications, it is really not important to me.
Well, I'm looking at it from the other point of view, Lori. I mean, when you go back home as an employer, when you go back to your office and you have 200 resumes and two of them have a cover letter attached, telling you how passionate they are about working with you, those resumes would float to the top on my stack. So,
They wouldn't, and I see what you're saying, but they wouldn't be on mine.
Yeah.
So it depends on who the hiring person is. For me, it's not something that's necessary.
In the chat, we had a question of what's a good elevator speech. When you're at a job fair, you sometimes can be inundated with people standing at your table. There could be lines of 20 people standing at a table. What do you consider a good elevator speech? And what I want you to do by example is give your elevator speech.
Here's what I would do. Here's what I would do again after having done my research about the company, about the position that I'm interested in. I'm going to go in with a targeted elevator speech. This is going to be different from what you would do in a networking event or at a chamber meeting or at an executive, hiring event or whatever. For a specific job fair, this is how I would approach it. I would go look firmly in the eye to the person who says, hey, John, I'm glad to see you that you are with XYZ company. Before I came here, I was on the website, and I have a resume which is targeted to the position that you have advertised. Are you the recruiting manager for that position? I've got XYZ years of experience in education in that field. And if John replies and says that I am the recruiter, here's my resume. I look forward to hearing from you. We have a lot of other people waiting to talk to you. If you say that,
Lori, let's hear yours.
My elevator speech is,
yes.
Hi, I'm Lori Hudson. I work with Valuable Resources. Valuable Resources can help your organization increase employee retention, align HR policies with your company vision, and develop customized employee handbooks, job descriptions, and compensation programs. That would be my elevator speech.
I was at a networking event this morning, and they said, give your name, your company name, and 3 words that represent you. So
Right.
you
Again,
can really drill this down.
Yeah, but if you're talking about a job fair, in that situation is slightly different from a typical networking event.
Not
That's
really.
very correct. Well, you're correct, but you're both correct on that one. But you also need to be respectful of the person's time. And
Absolutely.
if you're handing them your resume, and if you're just saying something very brief, 15 seconds, you're going to potentially get that person to draw you out, or else they'll thank you for being brief. I want to keep this moving today, so I'm going to move on to the next question. If you are at a job fair and a potential employee or a job seeker comes up to you for a position that you do not have open, should they leave their resume for you for future reference?
You know what? In today's world, we are trying to get away from paper, and I really don't want to bring back a box of resumes that I'm not going to be looking at or using. It's going to be a waste of my time. It's going to be a waste of the job seeker's time. Nope, I wouldn't. I would not encourage that.
Lori?
I would say something different. I think
That's why we have you and me on this, Lori. We are looking at, because not everybody has to agree with everything that we are saying.
I think it's important. For one, I think that it would be most important to explain to the job seeker that, to be honest, that you don't have that position available. I do agree with not wanting to have extra paper. I would leave it up to the candidate if they wanted to leave their resume. But I would also try to, if it was if they had really good experience, if it was something that you might be able to potentially follow up with, maybe you do have something come down the road in 6 months or so. So if you have a way to keep those resumes at hand, I would say yes, I would keep it. But I think it's the most important is to definitely just be honest that you don't have the position.
All right. Thank you both for your answers to that. Our next question has to deal with, we, as part of the Illinois workNet system, help dislocated workers transition from one career path to another. So for example, if we have somebody who has been in the widget welding business for 20 years, their company closed, they've been laid off, they are going to school or maybe have just graduated and have completed an X-ray technician training program. What's the best way for someone with a long, welcomed work history but has a new career path? How do they position themselves in a job search?
Now this is where I would say the cover letter makes the difference, because they don't necessarily have the exact skill sets for the job that I have available, but if they can show me how their past skills can accompany or help with the position that I do have available, that's where I would be looking for a resume to explain that. Because if I'm just looking at a resume, I'm not going to see those qualifications, and I'm not going to really understand what you're looking to do. But if you're transitioning, I think that's where you want to use a cover letter and explain, what you've done in the past and how it can transition into a future position with whatever job that you're looking for.
Well, I agree with you a little bit on that, but I would go a little bit further, especially, if you are looking at somebody who's a dislocated worker, gone through the VIA program, upgraded their skills to get into, let's say that they're coming from construction into healthcare. Okay, they don't necessarily have the background in healthcare, but they do have the training and a certification now as a phlebotomist, and they want to get into that business. And if I have an opening for a phlebotomist, I would be upfront as a job seeker and focus on my past experiences, my attitude and my aptitude for work, that I showed up every day. I had a great career. Now that I've seen the winds are changing, healthcare is an up-and-coming profession, so I have got the necessary education background and the certification. I'm looking for an entry-level position with you to where I can learn how you work in your company, what are the processes. I do have the educational background. I have the work ethic that I can prove. I would love to get an opportunity to work with you. So that is how I would position if I'm going to be transitioning into another career.
I noticed in the chat that we have somebody that mentioned a calling card, that you can use both sides of a business card. You can put your personal information on the front, and you can put a listing of your skills on the back side of that. Somebody even suggested using a small photo. I actually had one of those myself. So would you, in this particular situation, would you put the transferable skills that would be applicable as well as some of the newly learned skills?
Let me tell you something. What I again, I mean, I'm keeping a very close eye on the ground on what's happening, and 80% of your skills can be transferred to another job. Most people don't understand that. They put themselves in a box. I can only do this because that's what I was doing. But we have to think broad now. 80% of your skills can be transferred to the other jobs, and now you had a skills gap that you filled by getting some training. So mention both. I like the idea of the business card. It should not be the 3x5 card that some companies and some training agencies are promoting as a gist card or something like that. It has to be a professional card that I can carry with me as an employer back to my office, not having to find a special place for it because it's a big, recipe card that I have to take with me. So yeah, the card is a good idea.
Lori?
I really don't have anything to add on that.
All right. All right. Let's move on to the next question. What type of questions would you expect from a job seeker to ask you?
Okay, some of the answers that we had sent out before, and when you definitely, job seekers can ask, is this a new position for which you're hiring? When is it expected to start? What are my next steps? Can I contact you after today for a follow-up? What other openings do you have? Maybe you have not listed all the openings. Sometimes you need to dig for some hidden job openings that I may have heard about it that day coming back in to the job fair as an employer. One of the managers may say, hey, you're going out for that. I may have, John just submitted his resignation today. He's leaving in 2 weeks. Can you find me a replacement? So you may want to ask, are there other jobs that you have not listed today? Definitely the other thing that we were talking about, what credentials do you need? Do you train for the position? I would really not ask questions about compensation ranges and benefits in a job fair. Because most of the time, the people who are coming, who are representing the companies, are not the hiring managers or even a higher level HR person. So it would be presumptuous to ask about compensation and ranges and benefits at a job fair.
Lori?
I think that I would go back to when you do the research about each company and the ones that you really want to work for or maybe, apply at their position, I would want to find out, make a list of what is it that you want to know about the company that you haven't found on the website. Make sure you do your work and research and look at the website.
That's a great suggestion.
They will ask, why do you like the company? Why do you stay? Has there been a lot of turnover in this position? Is it a new position? Why are you hiring? Why are you looking? Kind of get to those kind of questions that I think it's important to find out, why the actual hiring person is working there. What do they like about it? What's the culture like? To see if it's a good fit for you. People like to talk about themselves, and they like to talk about the company, so they want to have you relate to that.
All right. Well, thank you for your answers. We're going to move on to our next question. We kind of touched on this a little bit, but what should job seekers not ask? And yesterday we had a good chuckle about how much longer their boss will be in the position so they can move up into it. I just loved that one.
Okay. I would definitely not ask how many days vacation can I get. Okay. And, what is your policy about coming in late? I mean, things like that. I would not want to ask that. Can I work, part-time if I've got a family situation? That is not the time to ask those questions.
Like I said yesterday, I think it's how you ask the questions. If somebody is only available to work part-time, I think it's how you ask. So, do you have the opportunity to work part-time? You could ask about their benefit package. Most companies nowadays do have a lot of descriptions on their website about what they do offer. Sometimes that question can come across too soon. Other questions that I wouldn't ask is, obviously what type of vacation do you have? I definitely agree with that. Compensation can get a little bit tricky. I think, as we discussed yesterday too, that it depends on the actual position, where if it is maybe a manufacturing role where it is only going to pay $15 an hour and there is no negotiation, I think that pay is okay to talk about. If it's more of a professional type role where it is, 40,000 plus, it's probably not the right question to ask, but sometimes people will ask what the range is just to make sure that you're not wasting time. There are people that will make, over 100,000 and they're applying for a job that's 35,000 and it's just not a good match. And it does become a waste of everybody's time.
All right. I'm trying to watch the chat pod to make sure that we're not missing anything important. And one question that we had was, how can somebody explain, or should they explain, a gap in employment at a job fair?
Okay, if you don't have the right answer on your resume, you should have it on your resume. I mean, they're not going to look at your resume and ask you that question. Really, the recruiters don't have the time to dive into a resume and ask you too many questions. But if you have a gap, be prepared to explain it. How should you explain it? Show them that you have been doing something while you were not employed. You were volunteering somewhere, you were going in for some training. You can even say that I had to stay at home and be a caregiver to a spouse or a parent. But you have to show that you were doing something productive, not just sitting and collecting unemployment. Some kind of activity is a must. And more and more employers are willing to accept that these days now, because they know that the market is tight. People are going back to school. People are trying to upgrade their skills. Employers have to understand that. But please don't leave gaps in there and expect the employer to overlook the gap.
One of the things that we're going to talk about in the future is we're actually going to have a webinar with resume writing specialists. We also have those resources on Illinois WorkNet, as well as some of our discussions in the Illinois Virtual Job Club Network on LinkedIn discusses some of these things. So please make yourself aware of these resources that are available for you. And if you look at the pod on the left where it says web links, that those tools are there for your use. We're going to move on to our next question right now, and it's what next steps do you provide to job seekers at your booth?
Okay, for sure, if I am even halfway interested, I'm going to give them an application to fill in and bring into the office, give them my business card, or give them directions how to go online and apply online for the position at our company.
And Lori?
I would go through the process, whatever the process is. I would also give them my business card. I would let them know that they would be hearing from me one way or the other. As you know, we're going to come back with several resumes and want to make sure that none of them slip through the cracks. However, they might, but the object is to let them know exactly what the process is, give them my business card, but that I will be following up with them.
All right. On the notes here, the NCRC is the National Career Readiness Certificate, and the MSSC is the Microsoft Certified certification. So those are the two things that were referenced in yesterday's discussion, but both of those are available if you speak with a local community college. In most cases, you can find out how to obtain those certifications. And those are a good idea to bring along with you because many employers will recognize that NCRC and have the, there's certain levels of those, so they will help you in your job search process. Okay, last but not least, our last question for our presenters today is who should follow up first and how should they do that? Lori, let's have you start first.
I kind of started that with the last question that we just ended with, that I think that letting the candidate or the job seeker know what the process is, letting them know that I will follow up with them one way or the other, so that if somebody and I have had a conversation, I am going to follow up with them, whether it's for an interview or they're going to get a letter in the mail saying thank you for your interest. What I'm looking for from that person is to understand that I've just met probably 500 people, I've got 500 resumes. It's not going to be a day or two, but I will follow up within a certain amount of time, probably a week to a week and a half. That's probably about a typical time frame. I think it's very important for the person that I'm talking to understand the process, because what I am looking for is, are you listening? Are you respecting what I'm saying? And are you going to be able to follow directions?
Okay, one quick correction to the previous question, the certification that you mentioned, MSSC is not really Microsoft certified. This has more to do with manufacturing, and MSSC is the Manufacturing Skills Standards Council. It's a nonprofit out of Washington, and we work very closely with them. They have stackable certifications that especially manufacturing employers are looking for. So starting off with everything from as basic as safety on the job, and so building up on that. So MSSC is the Manufacturing Skills Standards Council. But coming back to who should follow up first, I totally agree with Lori. Depending on the amount of applications that an employer takes home, do not expect the employer to call you, but you might ask, if I don't hear from you in a week, do you mind if I get in touch with you? So get their permission, and if you don't hear from them, send a gentle reminder by email that I met you at the job fair. My name is so-and-so. I had applied for such and such a job. just following up to see if there's anything I need to do. So it's a toss between the two. Lost you. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Mohammed.
Okay.
I think we might have lost Dee. Are you still there, Dee?
Oh, I'm here. I had muted myself.
Okay, great.
What I'd like to do now is we've finished our last question with the presenters, but I'd like to double check that I have all of the questions that came through on the pod. One thing that we
conference call. Let me call you back.
one that I noticed is Daniel asked. He thought that resumes aren't wanted at job fairs. Could you review that really briefly again? And also, is it a good idea to include a photo on a resume?
Resumes needed at a job fair, absolutely. It's a must. It shows that you are prepared and you're serious. Photos, absolutely no. In Europe, yes. In America, no.
I would have to agree. Your resume is, you have to have a resume. The photo is really not necessary. I really want to look at your qualifications.
All right. At any point during the job fair, after the resume submission or after follow-up time, should you ever ask for the position in which you're interested? So like if you're a salesman and you're going to a client, the deal is to ask for the sale. Should a job seeker ever ask for the position?
I think
Absolutely. What do you lose?
I think that was
I would say yes.
Hang on.
Okay.
Lori, answer first.
Okay.
That's okay. Go ahead.
No, Lori, go ahead. What I would say is it's like closing a sale. I mean, you're out there to sell yourself. If you don't ask for the order, you're not going to get the order, no matter what kind of presentation you make.
Lori.
I would say no. I think that would be better for the actual interview. But I guess it would also depend on the position. If it's a sales position, why not? I mean, that shows your initiative, I should say. But for your non-sales positions, I would say no.
Yeah, I agree with you. The sales position is what I was referring to.
All right. Okay, we're closing in on our end of our session. I would like to thank both presenters very much for their time today. I know everybody's time is very valuable, and both Mohammed and Lori have volunteered their time for these presentations, so I would like to thank them very much. If everybody would like to click the little man with the applause, we'll do the silent applause for them. If you have any questions for us afterwards, we will be posting this presentation on Illinois WorkNet. You can join in many conversations on Facebook, on our Facebook page with facebook.com/Illinois WorkNet. You can follow different conversations on the company page on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/company/Illinois WorkNet, or you can join our group at Illinois Virtual Job Club Network in the groups on LinkedIn. And then, of course, you can always follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/ILWorkNet. We appreciate your attendance today. Our next webinar will be on LinkedIn, and we will be covering the profiles, how to use advanced search, and we will be doing it on live stream. So we'll be doing live presentation. If you need to get the presentation, we've just opened up the file share pod so that you can download the presentation. We will clean it up and make the updates that will be posted on the website along with the the audio version of this presentation. So thank you very much for your attendance. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Mohammed. We will leave the chat pod open for a little while so that if you need to copy down any links or any email addresses. So thanks for joining us, everybody.
Well, thank you.
Have a great day, and see us the next time, March 5th and March 6th. Watch for the announcement in our Job Club group and on our social media platforms. Thanks. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, you too.